And so I'm just gonna kind of go over what I'm expecting and what's kind of happened today. We can start on the daily, but there's some major things happening right now in the markets. So I'm just keeping an eye out for that, and I'm keeping an eye on price here, and we'll also take a brief look at some time as well. But yeah, let's get started. So on the daily here, we have both ES and NQ. Probably the only two I'm going to be going over for today. If you guys have any requests or anything like that, send it in the chart request. You can also send it in the channels and stuff like that. But yeah, so basically, what's going on here? Obviously, order flow is bullish, right? We are respecting PD arrays and continuing up higher. We've recently been respecting a lot of lower time frame PD arrays, 4 hour and 1 hour, and we're just continuing up higher, right? On the daily here, we've used this daily BISI, which we kept wicking here, never closed below it, accumulating longs here in this PD array, in this BISI, I should say, right? That bullish fair value gap. And we had an SMT here, and we pushed up and continued higher, right? And now what I'm looking at here is obviously these lower PD arrays, right? Where we're looking at swing lows and highs, okay? So actually, let me get rid of this one here, so it's not too messy. Let's get rid of that. So we have this swing low and then this high up here, right? So what I do is I look in between that, and I see what's in between, right? I kind of want to take a look at what price is offering us, right? And here we have those PD arrays, fair value gaps that I'm keeping an eye on. Kind of closed below this one here on NQ, right? And let me put this busy there. There we go. Kind of closed below that one, and now we have a higher time frame SMT, which I will get to in a second, right? On the weekly, there is a fair value gap that was quickly rebalanced here, and then we had a continuation up higher. This fair value gap here on the weekly has been left open, and then this is the one that is that we had an SMT with here. You guys see that? So your little SMT there. Okay. So yeah, so I'm keeping an eye out on that. If we do get a larger retracement down, that's what's on the weekly. But whenever you see price like this, okay, where there's immediate rebalances and like, you know, BISIs that are left open on the weekly, you got to go down to get some more information within this area, right? So let's take a look at the 4 hour, right? So last week I mentioned how we had an SMT here. We took this high barely by a couple ticks, I think 1 or 2 ticks, right? And NQ did not take this high, right? So I mentioned how I wanted to see lower prices. Now, does today change anything for me specifically? Not really. There's a larger SMT here still. I would really like to see this hold, right? And why is this important to me? Well, simply because there's a ton of stuff here from the previous day. Simply because this is a larger SMT, we have high resistance liquidity here, which is the SIBI right over there, and there's a lot of sell side below that I'm taking in, keeping an eye on. We have those PD arrays there, and there's lows here, right? We have relative equal lows down here on ES, lows here. So I'm keeping an eye on to see if we can head down there, probably a little retrace, get a little discounted price, and then probably continue higher, right? But nonetheless, this is an area I'm really have interest in. And if we go down to the 4 hour here, on NQ we have this low here and these lows here. So these are relative equal lows. I told the group before that ideally I would like to see this, right, and then something like this, right, where we get a continuation higher at the end of July, which is the end of the time distortion model for digital time theory, July 25th. And that's essentially what I'm keeping my eye on overall, okay? And obviously this has not been time distortion, right? This has been expansion. It's been very expansive. We've had that distribution to the upside, targeting standard deviations. So in this case, what I'm looking for now is I'm looking to see, what price is given, right? So far we have an SMT, bearish SMT, where ES is taking those highs, NQ hasn't. And when we hit this SIBI up here, we rejected, right? Came back up, took this high again, Look at the bodies. It's respecting the CE of this entire 1 hour SIBI, and then it's headed back down, right? And that's our new week opening gap, and our current new week opening gap is pretty large, right? We have relative equal lows down here. I know we took this low out, but we also do have an SMT here, right? Where we taken this low out, but I don't really care because this is the larger one here. So what am I looking for, right? A couple things I'm looking for is I'm looking for this 4 hour wick, the CE of it, the equilibrium level, to be touched. Okay, so let me show you where that would be. For NQ, that would be around 2712, right? It would be here. Let me just mark that for you guys. And we will do this. Okay. And then if we go down to the 1 hour, we can see where that CE is right over here. And we'll take a look at the 15-minute as well and just keep an eye on that and see what we can expect. So ideally, I would like to see a retrace up into this area. And if we do get to the CE, I want to see a huge wick, and I want to see a continuation down. Okay. For me, there isn't much here to be extremely bullish on. And also, thanks for bringing that up, Scotty. Scotty mentioned that there is a CISD. We also had so we had this entire area here be rejected multiple times. 1, 2, right? This is your breaker essentially. Okay. And previously, I mean, essentially you would kind of use it as an order block. Obviously, we ran through that area. We're pushing back up. We already wicked around this area multiple times. If we get a wick on this CE here, that would be beautiful, right? And possibly another SMT somehow up here would even give it more confirmation, because not only do you have one here, we took that high out, you still have an SMT, and if it goes one more time and you have an SMT, that shows weakness in the market, okay? Between these two specifically, all right? I know we have PD arrays here, like 1 hour fair value gaps and stuff. That's what we're using right now. Obviously, we have this one here and the new week opening gap. But to me, you know, as I mentioned before, I don't really care about that, right? I don't really care about these fair value gaps here, okay? Because the higher time frame is suggesting something different, right? Obviously, am I going to use it? Yes. Am I going to use it as an area of interest where price will wick on or reject against, whatever you want to say? Yes, of course. But until I get a you know, clear long setup, then I don't care about longing overall. What my bias is going to be is I'm going to be looking for lows, okay? So let's take a look at today real quick. Very clean day today. I'm actually going to pop on the indicator here for everybody. So we have these PD arrays up here. We know that we are bearish. We have that larger SMT, which is why once we hit this high here on ES, we rejected on both of these because NQ is way, you know, further away from this high up here, right? And we had a nice rejection there. So let's take a look at today's price action and see what we're given, right? So I traded during 1001, and I will go over that model 1001, which is from 1235 to 1409. And if we look here on the 1 minute, if I can just, you know, put this here, that's perfect. We can see a couple things, right? We can see we had a large move up and then a V-shaped recovery. I should say not even a recovery, but V-shaped pattern down back to sell side. Now, again, why is this important? How could we have expected this reversal? Well, we can see at 1020, our true move really started, right, to that buy side here, specifically on ES. ES wanted that buy side previously. And let me just focus on NQ here. So your 1020 move starts, okay? 1034 is your next interval, but specifically here, what I really like with what's going on is the 1034 root candle is being prioritized here, and we tap into it 2 times, and then we continue to push higher towards specifically, of course, this high here, right? And we hit that high. Let me just mark it. We hit this high here, and then we continued. Oops. There we go. And then we continued a bit higher, right? So let me get rid of this. There we go. Continue to bid higher, and then your 1001, or sorry, model 110, which is from 1110 to 1149, usually is a continuation. But if we've already met our liquidity target, you know, you want to be careful. So notice this, 1110 continues, but then right after 1121, which is the next interval here, right? What happens? price begins to kind of reverse and push down. This line over here that's drawn is your 1121 root candle. Okay, so here, right? And we got a huge candle close below it, and then we started pushing down. Now, what you're looking for is you're looking to see how price reacts at specific root candles and PD arrays, right? Notice how we almost touch this 1034 root candle again, right? We push up and then finally close below it. There's some SIBIs here. And surprisingly, we had some good price action between 1110 to actually 1235. So 1110 to 1235. Usually your 1149 to 1235 will be your time distortion. In this case, we got decent price action, right? There was a SIBI here which you could have used to short, right? SIBI there, and obviously the one that's higher up here. We wick to that area, and then we continue down to the 930 CME opening price. That's this orange line. Then we continue back up right into this SIBI again. We wick, and this is where I caught my short. Okay, I caught my short here. I sent it in the chat, in the quant chat. I'll send it in here actually in a bit. But we were able to catch some shorts down to these lows. Now, why did I know price was going to head lower? We had this new week opening gap, the current one. You see how big it is as well. I mentioned this before. If the new week opening gap is very large, in this case that was 40 points, right? We're going to attract to that a lot. So expect us to trade into that range again, right? Actually, it's more important than this BISI here, so I'm going to get rid of that. But there was low resistance here. We had relative equal lows, right? You see these lows here, here, and even these lows down here, I was keeping an eye on. Those are relative equal lows. And your 1001 continued lower. So we had a wick into the SIBI, right? A little more wick, one more wick here to the 1235 root candle, right? And then we had a push down. And notice how at 13, you have that red candle here, right? And what does it create? Creates a SIBI. Another opportunity to try to look for shorts in this range, right? The inner cycle lines weren't used perfectly today, but you still could have caught shorts. And you guys saw that I waited for some inversions. I waited to see some reactions, and then I entered. And I was essentially targeting the midnight opening price, which is here, this pink line, right? The dash line here. And this new week opening gap, right? And then I was out way before 1409. I think I was out on this little wick here at 1333. But I was expecting for a reversal at 1409 because there was a little bullish SMT, but also 1409, you know, we're at the new week opening gap. Little mini reversal is what I was expecting, in which we got. And then at the end of the day, I believe Ali in the quant chat, really great job. He said, you know, we could see some chop time distortion until 1514 to 1545, and then we'll get that drop, which is literally what happened. You know, we took those lows out and took these lows out over here. Okay, and the algorithm wanted this new week opening gap from up here to down here. It wanted this. Whenever you see something like this, especially the higher time frame SMT, we push up, take a liquidity pull out, and then we go back down to this new week opening gap. That's all the algorithm likes to do. My favorite PD array is the new week opening gap, right? Obviously, I like everything else, but this one is key. It's beautiful. It's great to see. Scotty said I was aiming for that midnight opening too, but 930 and 953 held. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that as well. Thank you. Yeah, so on this push down, 953 root candle also, you know, kept us up there. Your 953 root candles right there, and then this is your 930 CME opening price, which is also very important. And we actually used 953 here when we pushed up. We used that, and then we kind of, you know, came back down. And if we actually highlight the entire 953 candle range, so just the body of it, which is this entire candle, and then we get rid of all this stuff here. Let me get rid of this because this is a little too much here. But this red zone is your 953 candle. Look at the consolidation in these areas, and then we finally get a drop below. And we're still almost using that entire range there after market. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. So model 11 played out very well. From 1020 we had that start, and then 1034, 1044, and 1055 you could have used, you know, those times for entry. You could have used a 1034 root candle to kind of target this high here. And then very clean, honestly, in my opinion, it was clean price action today. I'm not gonna lie, like even 1001 was clean. It was very volatile today. Tomorrow, I am honestly, I don't even know what to expect tomorrow. But I'm expecting, a little bit of manipulation tomorrow, probably heading up to this area up here, maybe another manipulation up here, wick. And I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be nice. I think we'll see lower prices here. Nothing for me to kind of just be completely bullish and expect these highs here, unless we get like some crazy, very clean, 15-minute bissies or whatever it may be, and we close above this high, displace above it. Then I'd be targeting this high, right? A nice displacement above this high, then I'd be targeting it. But I'm looking for short setups. My bias is short, as I mentioned before with everything else. Okay. So does anybody have any questions here? I kind of went deep into that. I feel like a lot of people here want to see what DTT is about. But we use those times beautifully today. 1001 played out well, and so did Model 11. Obviously, two of my favorite models. And again, as I mentioned before, we have this larger SMT here, so please keep an eye out on it, right? Which is this SMT right over here. Okay. Any questions for me here before I head out? One more thing, guys, I want to point out is just notice how ES is making higher highs and NQ hasn't. Again, that's what I mean by SMT. We have this very large imbalance here that we've wicked on 2 times, and we have a breaker here that Scotty has mentioned multiple times. So just keep an eye out on that, all right? Yo, Luis, what's up, brother? How's it going, man? I'm doing well, bro. Thank you. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well. Nah, you're good, bro. You're good. You're chilling. You're chilling, bro. Rogue, I got you. I got you. So let me actually point that out real quick. Are you talking about on the weekly? When we're talking about the weekly rebalance? Okay, so whenever a fair value gap, whenever I say rebalance, it means it's rebalancing the range, right? Not like the entire range. So when a fair value gap is rebalanced, you're essentially, so this fair value gap is created, right? This week we wicked into it. You see that wick? Quick wick, and then it goes up. It didn't, oops, my bad. It didn't trade into it like fully, like this, and it did not go to the CE, for example, right? Or even lower. So in this case, it's a quick rebalance, right? It's not balancing out the range, right? It rebalances that fair value gap and then continues. Right, you got it. Right. And so I'm mentioning this because a lot of the times this will be revisited. That's why I'm mentioning that. That's why I mentioned that in the beginning. And I mentioned how, if we wanted to see a larger move, I think, in my opinion, I would really prefer this area here and then a continuation up, right? Because order flow is bullish, right? That's what I would like to see. Yeah, trading completely through the BISI would be a complete balance, right? It would be balanced. The fair value gap or the BISI would be balanced. Yep, you got it. Hope I answered that. Okay, perfect. Sounds great. Perfect. All right. So if there are no more questions, I will be heading out here, and real quick, let me make sure. So let me point something out here that Scotty also mentioned. Thanks for bringing that up, bro. The high of the day today was, I believe, what Scotty's talking about here is the weekly wick here on the CE of the weekly wick here. So the 0.5 right over here, right? The equilibrium level. Notice how we've touched that. Here, let me get rid of this. This is that high right there by a couple points, right? maybe like 10 points at most, maybe even less than that. And we've wicked against that. So this is very telling itself. Thanks for pointing that out again. And this SMT up here is already very telling. So, yeah. Hey, Kunal, how's it going? What do you mean by mirror trading? Are you talking about like live tape reading and stuff like that? Where we go live and, is that what you're talking about? If so, in the quant chat, in the quantum group, Ivan goes over live tape reading and he goes over price action. He sometimes live trades, sometimes doesn't, but it explains what he's looking at. That's what we do here. Yep, totally agree with you, Rogue. I totally agree. The weekly wick there. We have the SMT, another wick there, and then a drop there. So I would really like to see this. I would really like to see this right here. That's what I would really like to see. That would be beautiful. Would love it. Yeah. Shout out to Scotty for the weekly CE specifically. But yeah, that 4 hour is also there. For the multiple taps, for example, at the 953 route today, do you use that specifically for entries or exits? Both. You could use it for both. So let me show you one more time here. You essentially are using root candles as entries and exits based on where the drawn liquidity is. So for example, notice 953 here, right? This is your Judas. I usually wait for Judas. I don't trade it. So for example, there was a setup here. This would have been a nice setup if you liked it. So 953 root candle is here, and there's a BISI down there, right? So if I'm trading up here and I'm trading down to this BISI, and there's an inversion here as well, inversion fair value gap, below this 953 root candle is a discount, and I know that I would like price to, I would like to long here, and I would like price to head towards this liquidity target, right? And that's how you would use it in that way. And then, for example, let's say you're shorting somewhere around here. You're keeping an eye on the 953 root candle. So let me draw it here one more time. Notice here, when we continue to drop down from these SIBIs here, notice how it hits the 953 root candle right here, and it wicks on it. Then comes back down, closes below it, and touches the 933 time right over here. Very precise and accurate. So, yeah. I hope that makes sense. Yep, of course. I appreciate you, Scotty. I know, I wish I could join, man. Hopefully one of these days when I'm off, I'll be able to hop in during your guys' time. It'll be both Ivan and I. But I'll probably be able to hop in. I'll try and see if I can get in there with y'all. But yeah. Kunal, we do not have an AI mirror trading system. I wish we do, but the digital time theory stuff is as close as it will get to, I guess you could say AI in terms of your own brain kind of working to see all these times and how they work, right? That's the best thing I could tell you, brother. But yeah, so this will be it for the recap today. If there are no more questions. If you do have any questions, drop it in the trading chat. Oh, one more thing. Let me actually drop the executions here that I had today so you guys can see. I'll drop it in this chat for everybody to see what I took, what trades I took. And I was on my phone. I wasn't on my computer. I mean, I was looking at the computer and stuff like that. But let me go here. Post it in here. So this, real quick, what I just said in the chat is this area over here. And I was trading micros. That's my live account on Trade Station. So I traded this area here. So took a short from up here, somewhere around here, right? Took profit right here, okay? And then I re-entered over here and I took this short over here. So that's what you're looking at there. But just wanted to show you guys there. Fibs, yes, it will be posted on YouTube. I'll post it in the videos channel, which will be this one right over here. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Hope to see a lot of you guys in here. Super happy to see a ton of new faces, ton of people hopping in here. I appreciate you guys. Of course, anytime, Rogue, anytime. But again, any questions, drop it in the chat. I'll be posting the video, and if you guys have those questions, just drop it in, and I'll answer those as quick as I can. And there's a lot of great people in here. Scotty is really good. Luis is great. Ali is great here. I'm just mentioning some of the people. Don is amazing in here. That really I've seen, put in a ton of work for all this stuff. But yeah, much love. Thank you, Brian. Much love. Appreciate you. I'll catch you guys later.